Welcome to this lesson on how to turn more leads into customers. We promise that it's going to be short, sweet, and straight to the point. There will be some illustrations along the way to help you grasp the educational part of it, but more importantly, what's in it for you. After this lesson, you're going to learn three main core key points that are going to help you identify the root cause of the problem of what's most likely holding you back from getting to your next level. And so this accelerated program is going to provide you that. It's going to help you break through. And more importantly, if you're looking to scale your income or scale your business, this is the right program for you. Now, if you have a startup at this point and you have no idea what it is that you're going to do with this startup, or you have no idea what it is that you want to sell, we can always educate you on our coaching program, and we encourage you to sign up after this webinar so that you can actually get to those levels much quicker. There's many things that you have within you. You have golden nuggets, expertise, you have information that is highly invaluable to others. So we're going to help you discover that. And if you are at a point where you're scaling your business or you're feeling a little bit stuck because you're breaking a ceiling, but you're not quite there, and it just feels like you're going around in a loop and you're trying to just figure this whole thing out so you can go get there much faster, this program is for you. This program is not for you if you're just simply looking around to gain education and not do anything with it. Because what happens is when you learn something but you don't apply it to yourself, you will not see the growth within you. Now, with that said, let's get started. So one of the main stories that we want to emphasize today in today's lesson is that of Apollo 11s. This is one of my favorite stories because I go to NASA every year, especially during the pandemic. There was nowhere to go, right? And other places were a little bit too risky for us. So we wanted to go to places where it was pretty empty. And we discovered NASA being empty. And one of the things that made me love the NASA effect, I call it, is because I'm a little bit of a space geek. I love creation. I love looking at the universe, the stars, the planets, learning about them. There's just so much that goes behind our creation that we don't know. And the technology that NASA has developed to get us, to see these things is incredible. So Apollo 11 is one of my favorite stories because it tells that story about how man landed on the moon. And there's actually a movie that, if you haven't seen it, I'd encourage you to see. It's really nice. It's called The First Man. And this one in particular caught my attention because at the point where NASA was failing direly on building rockets or getting rockets to be very successful to even make it into space, they had to take many steps back and actually think through and do something completely different, do something radical. And this applies to you as well. If you have a business or you have an idea and that idea hasn't quite developed and it hasn't materialized and it hasn't become solid and it hasn't quite worked for you, or perhaps it's working but very, very slowly and it's very painful for you, or perhaps you're at that level where you're growing but not as quickly as you like, and you know that if you actually did it, if you actually made the work happen, and this work brought the fruition for you, it will make you feel really happy. It will make you feel very accomplished. It will make you feel freedom, like the freedom of time is there, because now you have a chunk of assets or income that you can use to leverage off your time. You can actually hire more employees to do more work for you, which eases up your time. Now, we only have 168 hours a week. And if we haven't quite realized that up until now, well, it's very important that we realize that there's only 168 hours a week. And there's only so many summers that we can work, because there comes a certain age that we slow down our work process, right? Our age changes. So it's important to know and to keep this in mind that time is of the essence. And if you haven't quite figured it out up until now, well, it's time to work a little bit harder and a little bit smarter so that you don't deplete more time, so that you don't spend so many more years doing this, and that you may do it within days or weeks or months ahead of you. Does that make sense? Excellent. Well, if it does, let's get started. So this story in particular, when Apollo 11 started, one of the first astronaut chiefs said in that movie, it's beautiful. It said, "We've chosen a job so difficult, requiring so many technological developments that we're going to have to start from scratch." Now, they weren't thinking, let's use some of the pieces that we used in the past and let's combine it together with, some other pieces for these rockets and it's going to happen. No, they said we have to start from scratch. If the model hasn't been working up until now, why repeat the process? Why burns through so much time, energy, and resources? Another phrase that caught my attention is, only after we master these tasks do we consider landing on the moon. Only after we do it. Not before, not during, but once we've mastered these tasks. Why is it so important for us to master our skill sets and actually get to that point where we can provide value to other people? Because at that point, we actually start to see the real results of those seeds that we've been planting all along, of all that learning process that we've invested our time and our efforts in. And so this really caught my attention personally, and it connected very well. But there was one phrase that Neil Armstrong said when the media was asking him, right before the launch, they were asking him what he thought the outcome was going to be. And he said very firmly, "We're planning on the flight being successful." Now, this phrase is so beautiful because it's a very positively forward-thinking phrase, right? We're planning on the flight being very successful. We're not thinking it's going to be successful. We're not going to guess if it's going to be successful. We're planning on making this happen. It was an affirmative statement. And that affirmative statement also was around all the people in NASA. Everyone was thinking the same. We're all going to get to that objective. We're planning on this being successful. We know success is going to happen. Now, how we do it, we reverse engineer that process. And so with this story in mind, let's get started in our lesson, because our goal, MentorMe's goal, is to provide you with the ultimate guide in helping you get more clients, in helping you scale your business, and to build a stronger and unified sales force. They say that sales fuels everything, and that is the absolute truth. Sales fuels it all. And this was a phrase by Mark Cuban, and this is a gentleman who has built multiple businesses all along, and it feels like he does it so easily, but he's got a team behind it. And so we need to create unity in our organization if we want to scale our sales. So why do businesses fail? Here's the root cause. Some of the root cause problems that actual businesses fail is because there's a brand disconnect, the story isn't quite there. Perhaps there's a lack of follow-up in their sales systems. Maybe at that point they're not generating enough leads because of the lack of follow-ups, because there's not generating enough referrals. And so they're counting on leads coming in from paid advertising. Paid advertising starts to slow down because the ads aren't working quite well. And so it becomes a little bit fuzzy and a little bit messy. And then here you are as a business owner or entrepreneur injecting more money and waiting for more results to come. But at that point, maybe you're only breaking even, or you're losing some money, you're churning through some money, and until the point where you reach the end, and at the end, it's already a little bit too late. That's why education is so important, because not just the right education, but the education that gives you the value of driving action into results. That's what you're looking for. So failure to attract stellar people, exceptional people. Steve Jobs said once that exceptional people can do so many beautiful things than hiring so many people who actually won't be able to do those many things. So this is highly important. Hiring exceptional people who you delegate the process and they'll follow the process and they'll do everything by themselves. You barely have to coach them. You barely have to train them. They come with a mindset, and this is highly valuable. This is why we pay the big bucks. And so another aspect of it is perhaps people are not investing enough into their mentoring programs, or they're not investing into the right educational programs, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And so the challenge number one, let's look at this challenge and how do we solve it? Team demotivation. When I started my business, when I started building businesses, I was tasked to run a team of 15 people in an office in Miami for a product that was extremely challenging to sell, which is in the travel business. Now, the travel industry has seen its ups and downs, and as you know it's highly challenging. If you don't know this business, it's very fast paced. And so it was in the middle of 2008, and it was right in between the economic crash. And so here I am with no experience. I only had experience from my business administration background, but I didn't have practical experience. I was left here in this room in the middle of 15 people, leading them, training them every day, guiding them. Now, I identified 2 or 3 different people who were actually stellar. I would classify them as the actual eagles, because they believed that they were actual eagles. And there was another group which I identified as the flying duckies, which it was a great group, by the way. It doesn't diminish what they can do. It's just that they fly at a lower pace than eagles. The eagles can actually view from a 30,000-foot view, and they know what they're going for, and they're pretty quick at it. And so I started separating these groups, and because essentially what would happen is, if one of the people that came that day and was highly demotivated, which this happens often when you're in business, you have people who have challenges. We're all humans at the end of the day. We're in the people business. People will come demotivated. They come depressed, maybe because they weren't getting enough sales. Some of the older folks were actually, having challenges, not just in their sales process, but in their actual health. And so that was very challenging for them. We had to give as much support as we could. And it was emotional support. It was all kinds of different training support. And every single day, it was a fatigue for them. And so we had different kinds of people from all over the world, different cultures, who were just smacking their heads on the table, to say, because they weren't getting the results that they wanted. And then there was those people who just had, in their mind, they had this fuzziness of a bunch of things to do that they couldn't actually do things. So it was it happens to all of us, right? At some point, we have so many things that we need to do and we just can't do them. And then we end up not doing anything. So we had all these kinds of challenges that we had to face. And another challenge that we had is our brand awareness. We were new in the market. The website was just getting started. The product was there, but there wasn't enough brand awareness. And this actually challenged us big time, because every single call that we had to make, outbound or inbound, it was not quite warm. It was one of those cold calls, and people were not connected with the brand. So it took our salespeople much more time, much more effort. And sometimes they spent an hour and a half with a customer, calling them multiple times until they finally got the sale. And these sales were low ticket on top of that. So there were sales that were between $299 to $399. They would make around 25% from their commissions, which were very nice commission checks if you consider what the market was in that time. But they had to make multiple sales in order to get to a decent income. And so this was a big challenge. And so you can imagine that, if you have these flying eagles and these flying duckies, and everyone's trying to fly as high as they can, but, someone's going to get frustrated. If you have eagles teaching duckies how to fly as high as they can, the duckies are going to get frustrated. And if you have duckies trying to teach eagles how to fly like they do, the eagle's going to get frustrated, and the duckies are going to get frustrated. So we had to figure this out. And so one of the things that I want to share with you in today's lesson is that brand awareness is key, because essentially your brand is your face. No matter how you put it, even if you put your face there or not, your brand represents who you are. And it's so important to have a clear brand, because information is everywhere. How are people going to remember you? How will they ever know that you even exist, right? After they have seen your website, after they've touched that website for a couple seconds and they leave, how will they know? And what is your unique differentiator? What's going to help them understand that you're completely different from the 8 billion people around the world, and that your brand represents exactly the value that you're representing? So these are questions that customers ask themselves every day. We ask ourselves every day, why should I do business with you when I can do it with X, Y, and Z, correct? And so as you're following this idea, And as we're learning a little bit about what challenges could be holding you back, let's dive deep into the facts. Now, here are some facts. When you go into a business and you're looking at leadership and you're analyzing, what's going on within the leadership, 74% of these leaders or executives do not understand buyer behavior. 74%. That's huge because we're in the people business. And at the end of the day, if we don't know people, if we do not know what drives their behaviors, how can we ever sell to them? 26% of the executives actually understand buyer behavior. And so these are facts that we have to get into ourselves and understand, wait a second, am I really understanding my buyer's mindset? Am I really stepping into their shoes? Am I really addressing all of their concerns? Am I really addressing all of the objections that they have today? Because there's a reason why they're not buying. And at the end of the day, when you are not buying something, you're selling something. So if you're telling your client a story and you're selling your story, but then your client is selling you their story, which story wins? Which story is going to overpower the other one? Which story is going to be the one that's going to make the biggest impact and influence on a decision? At the end of the day, it has to be your story. But the common sales challenges that we face on high ticket sales, on low ticket sales, no matter what number of ticket sales you have, is that people are missing their quota. They're not getting to the numbers that they desire to get to. 87% actually. That's a big number. 48% don't follow up. And this is the reason why. We get a customer, we talk to them one time, and we expect them to follow up with us. That's just not going to happen. Not a lot of customers will do that. In fact, if you find customers that do that, it's because you're doing an incredible work in your follow-up system. Maybe you have social media and you're following up with social media every single day, and you're following up with all of your customers' doubts, and you're showing up every day. Well, that's certainly one way to follow up one-to-many process. But if you're not on a platform where every single day you're following up with your customers and you don't have an automated system that follow up with them, then you're going to probably burn all your cartridges, because how many people can you really contact in 168 hours a week? Do you really have 168 hours a week to work? Nobody really wants to work that amount of time. And now if you're looking at this program and you're thinking, no, I need to work more, that is not the way to look at it. The way to look at this is we're looking to work less to live more, and we're understanding that these strategies and these tactics will help us get there much faster. So if we can help you save time, isn't that priceless for you, right? So 85% of the people that actually don't close due to customer dissatisfaction, this is a huge one. They don't close because they're not happy with the way that they're being treated. So again, we go back to thinking, when we talked about buyer behavior, it's huge. 74% of your team most likely doesn't understand buyer behavior. So it's important that we train them and that we teach them how to understand these behaviors. And so 91% of your customers, they would love to give a referral, but only 11% of the salespeople are asking for them. 11%. Haven't you ever had a customer that was so happy that you called them right after you've serviced them, or right after you've provided the product, to check in with them, and they're crying with tears of joy of how much you've helped them solve this problem? And it's sad that we can't record those moments, because if we go back to record those moments, you have social proof, which is going to show your next customers how is it that you're working with your customers. When I started my first photography company, I started back in Italy, and I had no social proof whatsoever. I had to build a portfolio of doing weddings in Rome and in Italy. So the first thing I did is I started shadowing another photographer, gaining portfolio. Then I used those photos, those images that I produced to sell to my first customer. And the first two customers that I sold, the first one bought because of what he had seen that I've been doing. The second one purchased because his brother is the one who sold him on the fact that he couldn't go with anyone else but myself. And so I got that first referral from that first customer, and I actually had them record that, that review on our Facebook page. And later on, I started building those reviews through that page. But then I realized something. I realized that the people in my industry, when I moved to the United States, the people in my industry are actually looking for reviews on 2 or 3 specific of the biggest platforms in America. And so I entered those platforms. I made sure that every single customer left a review on those platforms because I knew that they were going to be my best paying customers. And that's how we started building rapport with many customers. And we crossed the 100 plus 5-star review line. And at that point, no one else ever started questioning about our company. It was more about, we want to work with you. How much is it? And how do we get started? And so you have to realize that people buy because of what they see. People buy from their friends or what their friends tell them. And if you're not collecting reviews or referrals, you're losing money every single day. Every single person that you service can provide at least 2 to 3 different referrals because it solved a big problem for them. They're feeling very happy about it, and they're more than willing to help you. Now, here's another analogy that we want to share with you, the goldfish mindset. The goldfish mindset tells us that there's just way too much distraction in the world, and the goldfish usually, the mindset of the goldfish will only last, the attention span will only last about 6 to 8 seconds, and which is the average normal span of a human today because we're on different places and different areas and are searching on our phone. We get distracted, we look at something else, we swipe left, we swipe right. So how do we get people's actual attention, and how do we keep their attention? So our simple formula has been built and designed to work all across. At the very core, which is the foundation of your business, there are values. And we look at it this way. This is not a formula that's brand new. It's not an invented formula. It's just one that we created to separate a 3-step process that is so easy to solve everything. The first challenge that we were discussing, which is the brand challenge, well, there are values within our brand. There's a DNA within that brand. There is a culture. There is a message. There is a story. And there is a powerful story that you have that you can share with the world, and they will love that story, not because of who you are, but because of your values. That's what connects us as humans. So we look at our core values as a belief system, which is it enables others to attract themselves to you, to your services, to your products, to the problems that you're solving. But it also enables us to connect as humans and establish a common ground. So once we've established this common ground of values, what is it that we both value, right? Then at that point, we get to connect. We get to connect deeply. We get to have these beautiful relationships with our customers. We get to actually understand their needs, address their needs. We get to address their problems, even beyond the scope of what it is that we're selling. Sometimes we have to go beyond that because our customers have pains. And when you tell a customer, I will take the weight off your shoulders. Can you imagine that? If someone told you right now, you have a problem, let me take this weight off your shoulders. I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. How much is it going to cost me? Don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of it for you. Well, you would feel really compelled. First of all, thankful because it's like, wow, this person who I don't know is actually helping me solve that problem. And now it's like, okay, I have time to focus on what is it that I want to focus on. Amazing, right? It's a win-win. So when you do that for others, when you ask them, what's keeping them up? What's keeping you up at night? What's that one thing that's holding you back from getting to where you want to be? And people will tell you that. And you start to ask more questions, you'll get the answers. And those answers are going to lead you to connect. And those answers are going to help you create a bond with your customer. Once you've established that part of the relationship, which is very easy to do, it's just a small process, then at that point you get to create results for your customer. You're not giving them more than they've asked for. You're not giving them less. You're giving them exactly what they need. And perhaps, thankfully, they might even get more out of you. They'll get more value out of you. And so what happens is when you give so much more value than what they've asked for, they become raving customers. They become loyal fans. They become people who actually follow your community. They want to be part of your community. They want to share with others how amazing your community is, and the rest is history. But in order to establish this, you have to go through the 3 steps. Go back to your core values, understand what is there of value that you provide to others. What is there of value that others can actually understand from the story of your brand, from your message, from your culture, from everything that you've been building. And once that story is so refined and so powerful, people will understand it in 2 seconds and they'll be like, wow, this is the brand that I want to follow. I want to follow these people because of why they believe what they believe, how they do it. And at the end of the day, the product or the service is just something secondary. So people are looking to buy into other people. And so that's why it's important that when you're committing to someone, that they can provide innovative strategies that will help you get there much faster. If you're committing to a coach or a mentor today, and that person has all of the experience and they have actually walked the steps that you're walking, they've been through your challenges, and they can help you overcome those challenges, those are the people that you actually want to hire, because all you're going to do is, at the end of the day, you'll provide a commitment fee, right? You're going to learn a lot. And that knowledge is invaluable because that knowledge remains for life. It remains for life, and it's knowledge that you gain to help you save that decade or more in trying to figure out on your own. Does that make sense? Very well. So if that really makes sense to you, we've got 3 different programs that are available to you. But one of the core ones that we teach in our programs is our one-on-one mentoring. We've designed programs that are very easy to follow. The foundation is the first part. We teach you how to create a unique value offer and how to build a unified brand. You don't have to figure this out on your own. You don't have to hire a marketing agency or branding agency for this. You can actually do it on your own. Now, if you don't have the time to do it on your own, what you'll learn is the principles and the tools that will help you get there much faster. So that when you are hiring a company, you are making an educated selection, so that you're not failing on your selection. You actually know exactly what you're getting into and what is it that you need to look for within that branding agency or that marketing company that's going to help you get there. Now, in our in-house abilities, we actually don't outsource branding agencies or marketing agencies. I've had one for over 12 years, and I can tell you one thing. I've tried different agencies. I can't talk about everyone in general because there are agencies that will work, but there's only a few of them. And so when you have limited budgets and you have to test on one and test on another and test on another, time passes, you have a team, that's just money that's churning all around. So we would encourage you to actually hire in-house, and we teach you how to hire in-house where it doesn't become such a fixed big expense. You can actually have the main people that you need, and you can outsource everything else. If you don't have budgets to hire dedicated teams, you can do freelancers. And so we'll teach you how to do that. We'll teach you how to outsource the best freelancers all over the world. There's just so much talent going around. The pandemic has actually eased this for us because there's so much more talent available now. People have rethought about how they want to live and how they want to work. And so there's a big opportunity to find great talent. Great and accessible talent, which is going to be great for you. The second part that we teach, which is the closing part of your best deals. How do we close your best deals? Well, we're going to teach you the framework on how to connect with the right customers at deeper levels. My partner worked over 24 years at Apple, and he's taught me all the secrets that he knows about Apple and about how they perform their high-ticket sales process, how he got 9 figures into one single deal, into one single invoice. And I'll share with you that story in a second. I've learned these processes for my own business, and I've always had high-ticket sales that are between the 4, 5, and the 6 figures, and now I'm entering into the 7-figure space. I have 2 different offers at this point where I will eventually gain a 7-figure commission check. Now, that's in one deal. How do we get there? How do we make these deals happen? Is it that challenging? Does it really take that long of a process? Well, surely it's not a quick deal, but you can certainly, even if you're not in the space of real estate, even if you are not a licensed broker, even if you are not a business owner, you can learn how to model the process that we have, which is taking our knowledge and our expertise and incorporating it into the actual assets of the business, and actually gaining a percentage share from the businesses that we're helping. So that's how we're making these deals. We're actually gaining a small percentage out of every single deal that we do, and it's incorporated. We get paid through our coaching programs. We get paid as commissions based on results, and we also gain equity in the company, which is actually fun. So that makes our time very worthwhile. If you have an agency today, you can easily turn this model into the equity model, which we'll teach you about. So there's just so many things that you can learn from mentors who are pretty much have been there, are entrepreneurs, have been salespeople, have actually led sales rooms. I've led rooms of over 150 people. That same room that I mentioned to you, but that was about 15 people, it turned into 150 people. It turned into a pretty nice operation. And that was right between 2008 and 2009, which is one of the biggest crashes in the market with a travel product, which was even harder to sell. So if we can share all of these strategies with you, and you're learning them, and you're learning all the steps and the framework, can you envision yourself actually having real success with your scaling your income, scaling your sales, scaling your company, building your team, building the right teams, building the right processes, and closing your best deals? You don't need a whole lot. All that you need is the right offer, the right mindset, the right process. That's all that you need, and the right people. So it starts like this. It's people, process, and product. I look at it that way. I learned that lesson from Marcus Lemonis. He's built that show, The Profit. And he teaches a lot about how he builds all these businesses. And he looks at the people factor first. Then he looks at the process. If the process is streamlined, then people will follow that process. And then your product will sell. So this is part of the lessons that we'll teach you. And the last part, which is my most favorite, is the conversion optimization. Because once you've gotten to a point where you're seeing your sales come through, you're growing your sales, you're 2x, 3x, 10x your sales, then at that point you're implementing the strategies to continue increasing those conversions, which means out of every 10 customers, if I'm locking in one customer, I'm locking in 10% of the customers that I'm talking to. But if I'm talking to 10 customers and I lock in 2 people, that takes me to a 20% conversion rate. If I'm talking to 10 people and I lock in 3 people, that takes me to a 30% conversion rate. And so these are numbers that will teach you how to perform better for your team, and implementing these strategies that will help you turn those clicks into customers. One of the quotes that I love is, if you're looking to do something that you want to build strongly for tomorrow, in times of change, learners inherit the earth. And the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to learn with a world that no longer exists. So what is it that you're going to do today that is going to help you change your tomorrow? There are certain people in the world, and perhaps we can include ourselves. I can include myself. Sometimes we don't like change, right? Sometimes we like to stay comfortable where we are because it's just what we know. It's comfortable. Change requires much effort, and it takes us into the unknown space of, will this thing work? Will it not? But if we really want change in our lives, if we really want change in our results, then something's got to change, right? Like we talked about the rocket example. They had to change everything. They had to start from scratch. But they made it work because they were persistent, they were consistent, they had a process, they had a mindset, and they made the whole structure work, and they actually landed on the moon. And so after this lesson, what you have to think about is, if you're taking so much time, if you've spent so many years trying to figure this out, and you really haven't quite figured it out, what's really in it for you if you change the entire process and you start from scratch? We like to mentor organizations to focus and become highly knowledgeable, highly experienced in days and not years. We don't really have time for years, and that's the truth. The truth is, what we have today is what really matters, tomorrow we may not have what we have today. So if we focus on getting this done within days, you and I, we're working as individuals, we're working as a team within our community to help you resolve your biggest challenges so that you can get there much faster. And the goal is to do this within days. So our microspeed learning promises to be simple, to be fast, to be engaging, to be relevant, to be synthesized, to be measurable. And we don't want to add any fluff. That's not what we do. We're just here to teach. We're here to help you learn. But more importantly, we're here to walk you by the hand so that you can get there faster. And we want to get straight to the point. These are the founders of our company, MentorMe. MentorMe was founded with the idea that people who are pretty ahead in their game can actually teach you, and that's what we have. We have high-level coaches, high-level mentors who've been in the industry and had tons of experience doing this. And my partner on the right side, as you can see, he took this picture with Steve Jobs when Apple was about to go bankrupt. They were having challenges, and my partner brought a 9-figure sales ticket into the table. Now, this is a story that you won't find out there. It's not publicized. It's actually an internal story. But the reason I want to share this story with you is because the reason why he got this photo with Steve is because Steve said, we've got to get to Miami to learn and to understand who this person is and how it is that they're working so that we can replicate this knowledge and into our sales force. And then we can replicate this knowledge into other areas, other countries that actually need it. And so that's what John did. He actually led the division in America when it came to educating for sales, and then he transferred that into Latin America when he became the director of sales for education. He was 3 levels below Steve Jobs. He was actually leading teams of thousands of people, so he's got tons of expertise in that area on training, leading, and providing the right knowledge for people to actually elevate their sales game and to get the results for their customers. And on my end, on my spectrum, as a co-founder of MentorMe, I've actually built multiple brands, not just for myself or for my customers, very successful customers who come within different backgrounds in the finance, in the real estate industry. We've got a customer that I helped build a story behind just with one video alone. He made 9 figures, and he makes 9 figures in sales every single year, thanks to that one video. I had no idea. That was built maybe about 2 years ago, and I helped him build that story. He put it on stages, and today he shared with me his sales figures. He's very, very grateful. He's presented me to other customers who I'm now helping. I'm helping airline customers. I'm helping customers that are within the mortgage industry. So all of these customers that we've helped in the past and are present actually have the same challenges that you do. It doesn't matter how big or small your company is. What really matters is that you put in the work, the smart work to get there. And so what I wanted to share with you is that throughout this process, I educated myself. I train myself every single year. We don't just teach you, but we actually go to seminars. We go to masterminds. We go to many different events that allow us to educate ourselves. And within these events, I've actually spoken, and I'm a speaker in Latin America in the largest marketing platform in the world. Became a Guinness Holder record last year because we did like a 48-hour speaking event back to back with many different other speakers. And so all of these things that I get myself into, I do it for you guys. I do it to educate and to provide the right value, because there's just so much fluff out there. Which information is really going to help you? What isn't going to help you? Let's help you skip all those hours of learning, and let's give you the right information that's needed. Now, this information, I don't just provide it, but I actually apply it for my own team, for our own team, for our sales team, for our sales force, for our coaches, for everyone. And it works for them beautifully because they apply it on their lives. They can see that they get the results, and this is what works. And so if you really want to hone in into your education, we provide 3 levels of mentoring. The team mentoring, which will provide education for your entire company as well as yourself. We provide online education programs, which we actually have available. They're free online. And we actually provide one-on-one mentoring, which is done on Zoom, and we connect every single week with you to answer all your questions, to guide you by the hand, to give you the answers as quickly as you need them, and most importantly, to provide you with the strategies that are going to help you get there faster. They say that strategies are the biggest thing in our businesses. That's why I became a business strategist, because one strategy can actually save you decades or more if you implement it well. So I want to leave you with that. I want to leave you with thinking forward on your mindset. If you're feeling stuck, don't worry about it. We're going to help you out. We'll help you break through that ceiling. And the biggest goal that we have for you is it's not just monetary. We don't just really focus on helping you make money, because you're naturally going to do that. You're naturally going to 2x your results, 3x your results, or however many x's you want to put above that. But what's really important is that you can't recover your time. And so we believe that people should really work less and live more. That's just our belief. It's incorporated into our DNA, into our culture, into our brand. We like to work smarter and not harder, and we like to teach you that as well. So if you really like this lesson, I hope you really did, because we put a lot of love into it. And if you really, really want to learn a little bit more about how to get there much faster, how we can help you, sign up to one of our coaching sessions. They're free for you, and we'll definitely get to the root cause of the problem in the conversation, or our initial conversation, and we promise to provide value. If we provided value at the end of that conversation, there's going to be an offer for continued education, for continued mentoring. This offer is limited, and this free education is also limited. We won't be able to do this forever, but we are doing it initially at this phase, because we've decided to open our programs up to the masses, to the public worldwide. And MentorMe has been providing this education on a much smaller scale to companies, to organizations, companies beyond 400 employees at this point. But we really, really want to focus on you. We're more keenly focused on working with individuals, because we know the potential of you. You know your potential. We know your potential, and we're going to help you capture that potential and capture that value that you can share with the world. And of course, more importantly, we're going to help you save time. We're going to help you increase your results. And this is just imagine yourself already being there. What would that do to you? So let's hop on a call, schedule a call today, and we'll see you there on the other side.